Now, of course, Sony has had some mixed bags released recently. Of course, they killed it with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I think might be the best Spider-Man movie ever made. They had great success with Venom and Venom 2. And along came Morbius, which I think Ray might have actually finished. Nope, Ray still has not finished watching it.
That's a great name for a sequel. Along Came Morbius.
Along came Morbius. Tell you what, we fired up the Chromecast the other day, and Ann went on to it, and it says, "Continue watching Morbius," and it's like, who the hell is watching Morbius? I'm like,
who the hell has watched Morbius this many times?
Who's going to heed a message that says "Continue watching Morbius"?
Yeah, so I'm like, that's your brother. Ray is watching Morbius. So, I mean, they had a very bad outing with Morbius, but they got a couple of projects that are coming that look interesting. Had no interest in Madam Web, but with all the latest information that came out about it, I've actually started getting pretty damn intrigued by Madam Web, even though I wasn't interested at all a while. And I have very much been looking forward to Kraven the Hunter, especially once they cast Kick-Ass. Why am I freezing?
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
On the three named boy, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
He's a man, John. He's a man.
The three named boy, who was, by the way, great in Bullet Train.
He's phenomenal in
I
Bullet Train.
really liked him in Bullet Train a lot. So this Kraven the Hunter movie, which I've been looking forward to, they showed us a little bit, just some quick peeks at it at CinemaCon. Well, both of those movies are getting delayed. This comes to us from the folks over at The Playlist, who write the following. What's happening in the world of Spider-Man and the entire Spider-Verse from Sony? Well, right now, a lot of delays. This weekend, Sony announced several changes in their upcoming Spider-Verse schedule, which means all their films are getting pushed back. The spin-off movie Kraven the Hunter film, starring Aaron Taylor Johnson, also known as the three-named boy, as one of Spidey's adversaries, has been delayed from January 13th to October 6th. So count with me. In the count, ha 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 voice, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, 9 months, a one baby delay.
Wow.
9 months. They've pushed it back. And then Madam Web was also delayed, not nearly as much. But whereas that pushes the female-led Madam Web team-up Spider-Man spinoff, initially scheduled for the slot of October 6th, and now will debut on February 16th, 2024. So not as big of a push as Kraven. Now, it's funny because somebody wrote in last week and said, hey, John, this movie's supposed to come out mid-January. We're talking about Kraven. We don't have a trailer for it yet. And I said, well, today it's not completely unusual to not have the first trailer come out till about 3 months out. We're still about 4. And I said, if another month passes and we don't see a trailer, then I'm going to think this movie's getting bumped. Well, we didn't have to wait because they've announced it's now been bumped. I don't know what to say about this. Like, for the last 2.5 years, we get it. Pandemic, all this kind of stuff, yada, yada, yada. Why these delays are happening here now. Now, look, at least these are not films that they started their marketing campaigns on.
Right.
Right? This isn't like a lot of films that have gotten delayed that they already had big marketing pushes and had their trailers come out and it's just confusing audiences with the push. None of that has happened at this point, so I suppose it's not that big of a deal. But why did a movie have to get pushed 9 months? It would be interesting.
Method acting, real baby.
Yes, yeah. I am now very disappointed about this. I hear about that. Anyway, Chris, you hear about this. I see no shock or surprise on your face whatsoever. And what are your thoughts?
I feel like, I know I use this metaphor a lot, but it feels very spaghetti on the wall with a lot of what's happening with like Sony, Warner Brothers, that sort of things. These studios that we have seen pushed back. And heck, Marvel too. This last phase is kind of a gobbledygook mess of let's try some stuff. I feel like maybe this is being pushed just because they're changing a few things in light of how Morbius went about, maybe some greater connective tissue developing between these different stories. Maybe Kraven and Spider-Verse will tie into each other, Madam Web will tie into each other. But it just doesn't give me a lot of confidence, though, that these things keep getting pushed back, especially when they're stories that I already kind of have a for why about of, I don't understand what this Madam Web is. And I am more intrigued now, the more stuff that's come out about it. But it's not Madam Web as I know her, which is fine. But I don't understand the point of that movie, right? Kraven the Hunter. Okay, I know that character. He's a animal rights activist, environmentalist. Okay, that's not the Kraven I know, but I can get behind that if the storytelling's right. So I'm hoping this is just them really trying to finesse what that story is and get these kind of anti-heroes actually done well, as opposed to, what we saw with Morbin Time.
Rob, again, when you see this, it just kind of screams to me now that we're in a post-pandemic era. It screams to me that you guys don't have your house in order. Mm-hmm. Like it's one thing. Look, if another big studio, and maybe we'll find this out. Maybe they know something we don't know. Maybe Marvel has decided they're going to drop some big thing on or right around the weekend. They were going to launch. This has happened before.
Right.
And then we go, oh, okay, that's why they moved it. But understanding that, and with that being set aside, other than that, it makes me go, like, are things a mess over there? I don't understand, because I really have finally started to get excited about this Madam Web project with the new details. Guys, we want to take a second and thank the sponsor of this video, MasterClass. All of us here at the John Campea Show absolutely love MasterClass. With MasterClass, you can learn from the world's best minds, anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. You can learn television writing from Shonda Rhimes, improve your comedy skills from Steve Martin, or you can learn filmmaking from James Cameron himself. With over 100 different classes from a range of world-class instructors, that thing you've always wanted to learn is closer than you think. I have personally watched Bob Iger's lessons on business strategy and leadership at least 6 or 7 times. Every time I watch it, I learn something new that I get to apply to my own business as well. And the best thing about it is you don't have to sit down and watch an entire thing all at once. You can watch the individual segments or just as much as you want in any sitting at a time. So guys, when it comes to MasterClass, I highly recommend that you check it out. Get unlimited access to every masterclass, and as a John Campea Show listener, you get 15% off an annual membership. Go to masterclass.com/Campea. That's masterclass.com/Campea for 15% off Masterclass. But I don't know. What do you think about when you hear this?
Well, they also said that, part of this was due to the effects block backup.
Which, we've seen that affect other projects as well.
But I would like to believe that in the hallowed halls at Sony, somebody finally said, wait a minute, it's Kraven the Hunter, right? Well, who's he hunting?
The most dangerous game,
Someone
man.
said, yeah, wait, he's supposed to be hunting someone? Well, one of the most famous Kraven stories is Kraven's Last Hunt. He's hunting Spider-Man, and someone said, oh, so they have to redo the whole movie. Now, by the way, that's not true. That's just me. I'm just making that shit up.
Breaking news.
Please
That
don't
was
do
a
that.
lie.
Robert Edson.
Why did we think of this?
They're remaking. But no, I really do think it's probably because of the effects backup. Because like Kraven was probably, someone said, wait a minute, we got the holidays coming up and we're backed up with effects.
Well, we recently saw Aquaman had to make a push as well because they just don't have the effects pipeline.
And and it's not just movie effects; it's all things. The same effects houses are working on TV shows with so many genre-related properties now. There is more effects work happening, literally all over the world than I think at any other time in the history of Hollywood.
Easily.
I mean, and there's only so many people that can do it. And a lot of these effects companies are talking about. There's been a lot of news lately about how people don't even like to work for Marvel because they're so overworked and there's so much work, so much pipeline work, and they're working 7 days a week. They don't see their families. And I would tend to believe that's probably the case.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's not, there's a reason why, if you guys go to a movie that has a bunch of effects in it, stick around and watch the credits. When it gets to the part of visual effects by, some people are surprised, but also don't understand that it'll say like effects by, I'm just pulling an old name out of the hat here, okay? Digital Domain, which used to be like a major effects house. Like effects by Digital Domain, they list all the people. Okay, all the 180, 200 people who worked on it for Digital Domain. But then it'll say, Flash and Lightning, visual effects by Flash and Lightning, and a whole bunch of names. Like, well, why is there a second one? And then another company will come up, and then another. And I was in one movie where there were 12 visual effects company credits. Why? Because on a visual effects heavy movie, no one studio does them. No one visual effects does them. There's just too much. The amount of work that goes into visual effects is far too much for any one place to do. So what happens is, let's just say Visual Effects Alpha. That's the name of the company, okay? Visual Effects Alpha. They get the main contract. Well, then what they start to do is they figure out, okay, what can we do in-house? And then how much do we have to subcontract out? Now, I used to work with a visual effects company, and that's where we got all of our biggest work, was a bigger visual effects house subcontracting other shots out to us. But now a lot of the big studios aren't even giving the main contract to one studio house. They're like, we're splitting this into 3 contracts. And now 3 visual effects companies are involved. And then each of those 3 start subcontracting out. And you start to see how all these visual effects companies, and there's only so many, their work schedule starts to get really, really packed.
And that's a great explanation, John. And also the amount of time it takes to actually do these things. Like, Rhythm and Hughes used to specialize in talking
Used to
animals.
love them.
Yeah, they're great. But that took so long. And when you're doing something like Narnia, how many talking animals and how many creatures are there? I mean, it gets to the point where you've got sometimes the animation involved is insane. And when you're rendering out at the level that they're doing, and whether it's 2K or 4K, even the render times on some of these effect shots, you're locked into how fast a computer can even render. And render times are really, really fast now compared to what they used to be. But you're limited by sometimes the software. And when you're doing so many effect shots, you kind of have to just sit there and wait.
Well, I mean, that's why you hear the term render farm. Like I remember at our thing, we set up our first render farm, which a render farm, for those of you who probably heard the term, what a render farm basically is, at least when we were like bubble gumming it together, we just get a whole bunch of computers. And when we would do, like we're working in After Effects or something like that, After Effects or what was the main one? New Tech. What was the big
Lightworks and
no,
Maya.
Lightworks. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was Light something or other was the name of New Techs, and then there was Maya and all these sorts of things. Well, you could set it up where when you would go to render, the render command would not only use your processors, but they would look at the network for other processors and all the processors. So we had this closet set up with like 12 computers that were quad core, which was unheard of at the time. We had quad core processors set up, and each processor was working at rendering a frame. But at the time, like certain frames could take up to a half hour of frame to render. And so you get now these studios that literally have warehouses like of just nothing but render farm.
Well, can I ask a production question about this then? Because
Sure.
I have friends who work in production, and I follow like the VFX IATSE stuff and everything too. Shouldn't studios be accounting for this time of how much effort is taken
But
here?
here's the
and
problem:
everything?
the studios can't account for what other studios are also sending to these visual effects companies,
that's
right?
fair.
So you have what would be a regular workflow, but when things start piling up for the effects houses, suddenly your own schedule starts to get thrown way out of whack, right?
I appreciate all the detail you guys are putting into this, but you just wasted everyone's time. Everyone knows why this movie's delayed.
Why is that?
They're waiting for me to finish Morbius. Just like the chat said, Sony is keeping their eye on the Morbius rewatch.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna finish it. I'll finish it by October. I promise.
And then they will know
And
which
then
direction they got to take
they'll be
Kraven.
ready. Thanks for the chat for that. That was really funny when I read that. But I had a question.
Yes.
So does that mean, is it coming out the same year as Across the Spider-Verse?
I can't remember what the Across the Spider-Verse
Is it
released in.
2024? This one's coming out 2023?
I need you to look that up.
yeah.
When does
I just
I
wanted to
don't
see
know
if you
when
guys
Across
knew
the Spider-Verse.
Madam Web
Because that would mean it would be a month before.
But
that would release a month before. If
Across
it's
the
the same year.
Spider-Verse better not get delayed.
Yeah, I think that's 2023.
Okay, I hope so. It better not get delayed. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Kraven and Madam Web have both been delayed. Maybe it is indeed because of the backlog. We've seen it happen to Aquaman on visual effects works in the industry. That could be a problem. Maybe it was something else. Are you even looking forward to these movies? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there.